If you're considering moving abroad, one of the first things you're going to have to do is figure out the visa process for whatever country you've decided to move to. I'm Heather.
I'm Carrie, and since we've just gone through the Portugal visa process, we are going to walk you through step by step how to have a successful appointment.
So it's important to note that right as our appointment was coming up, a couple of big changes happened that we had to kind of pivot, figure out how we wanted to get those things in order. So we'll dig into that a little deeper a little later in the video. There are several types of visas for Portugal. For our purposes, in this video, we're going to be talking about the D7, which is their passive income or retirement visa.
Long stay.
Long stay visa, right. So residency visa.
So the documents that you have to compile when you look at the guide seem daunting, and it can be stressful. It was stressful when I first looked at it.
And that's why she, said, hey, why don't you be in charge of the document gathering?
Everyone has their gifts. So the trick is taking it one item at a time and double and triple checking yourself.
And don't think that you're going to knock all of this out in 2 to 3 weeks, especially with the changes that they've just implemented, at least for Portugal. So just know that it takes a little patience, a little planning.
And getting the documents back and forth.
Yes. First up is birth and marriage certificates. Sometimes with birth certificates, they take them, and sometimes they don't, but it's always better to have them than not. And you request those through whatever state you were born in. If you're traveling with children, you will absolutely have to have everyone's birth certificates.
Yes.
Marriage certificates, if you are married, have to be apostilled or apostilled.
Apostilled.
Depending on where you're from, apparently. This is one of the things we'll chat further about later in the video. It just takes, it's a very specific stamp, and it takes a little while to get that, depending on your state.
Absolutely.
Current passport and a notarized color copy of that passport. A passport or your passport is one of the big changes that happened. Again, we'll go into detail on what happened 2 days after our appointment in regards to passports in Portugal visa. FBI background check. Easy to do, get your fingerprints. The first part is easy to do. You get your fingerprint, which you can usually go to a post office and
digital.
Get your digital fingerprints. You get those back within 24 to 48 hours. You then have to get those apostilled for your background check. That's where the train wreck with one of the new rules kind of starts to factor in.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll talk about that in detail once we get through the list. You also have to have a personal statement saying why you want to move to Portugal. Doesn't have to be huge. They're really just looking for a paragraph. And so you just want to try to keep it short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
But
you're
detailed.
You're not buying a house, so you don't need like a love letter.
Well, some people may be buying a house.
That's true. Absolutely.
You will have to create a form for a Portuguese background check. Doesn't matter if you've never been to Portugal. It has to be included with your application packet. You will also need your Schengen visa application, which we'll drop a link to how to get all of this process started in the description below the video. You will also need a NIF and a bank account in Portugal prior to your visa appointment. We'll be coming out with a different video to detail both of those things and the best route and the cheapest route that we found in order to get both of those taken care of while you're in this country and not Portugal.
It definitely takes a long time.
The bank account.
Yes.
They don't mess around with bank accounts there. They're very, very serious about you getting a bank account there. It's if you've ever purchased a home, imagine that and going through the mortgage process.
Oh, yeah.
And then making it even more difficult than that.
So patience and time.
And being very, very nice. Look, if kindness goes a long way when you start dealing with people in Portugal and learning basic phrases. So that was something we learned right out of the gate. So I just tried to learn just your basic thank you, good morning, good afternoon. They appreciate any effort they see Americans trying to put forth in coming to their country. So just a really important note. At least 3 months of financial documents from this country. And so that is bank statements, that's financial or retirement accounts, 401ks,
IRAs.
Any sort of investments. So the more you can show that you're going to be financially stable once you are living there,
the stronger your application will be.
Yeah. You will also need to provide your previous year's 1040, just 1 year, and just the first 2 pages of that 1040 form. Specific travel insurance. So Schengen area travel insurance. Tons of companies out there. Some are easier to get through than others. Shouldn't cost more than, if you're a couple, shouldn't cost more than $300 or $400, depending on your age. Oh, an important one, proof of passive income. So you will have to provide, depending on what income, whether it's through investments or retirement, Social Security, or a pension, you will have to show that income flowing into your American bank account for at least 3 months.
So, for example, I was a firefighter and I received a pension through my retirement system. I did get an actual notarized copy of that statement on what I received monthly.
Yeah, for additional proof. Again, any sort of financial proof you think may help, just go ahead and get. If the person going through your documents and accepting your application doesn't want it, they'll tell you that you don't need it and they'll give it back to you. So bring more than you think you're going to need. You will also need a travel itinerary. So it's hard to just print out a fake flight plan these days. You can, spend $25 or whatever to get, go to an airline, get a sort of semi itinerary. We've been watching how these things are playing out in terms of how
time-wise,
how the timeline happens. And this is just my thought in watching how things are progressing for all kinds of different people throughout several months. It seems that people who actually provide a firm paid for travel itinerary, one, perhaps get their applications approved a little sooner, and also get an AMA appointment included with their visa. Again, that's just after I've been kind of watching and listening to people say what they did and didn't get or how long it took. So we went ahead and just purchased our refundable tickets and included that with just a one-way. It doesn't have to be round trip.
and you can move it.
Yeah, absolutely. Buy a refundable ticket. You can always change the date. You can always fly a different airline.
We just guesstimated and worked backwards from the time.
And they don't want to see, so if your appointment is on August 1st, you can't book your airline ticket for 6 months later. They want to know whether it rings true or not. Mm-hmm. You may not get your approval for 6 months. Your travel itinerary that you put in your application packet has to be within 90 days of your visa application date. There are some weird nuances and rules with the Portugal Visa. And so we made our flight reservation right before the 90 days between our visa appointment and that 90-day window. Oh, probably the most important one. You will have to have either, if you're going to go and purchase a home, you will have to have an executed purchase agreement for that home in Portugal. If you're going to just rent to start out, you will have to have a lease signed by both parties, so by you, the renter, and the landlord. And it will also have to be registered, which is a really important piece, whoever you work with to try to get an apartment there. It will need to be registered with in essence, their financial department.
Yes.
Portuguese financial department. If it is not, your application will be denied. And so it doesn't matter if you've provided a signed lease. Because there is a lot of, for lack of a better word, fraud in terms of trying to get expats over there with fake leases. And so they're clamping down on that a little bit more right now. And it's just an extra layer of security for them that you're getting there completely legally and you're not trying to skirt the system. So it's not a big deal. It's just the landlord has to register it. So just make sure you make sure that happens. If you're dealing with a landlord directly, have them email that to you after they've done it. If you're dealing with a realtor, ask the realtor, they'll get that for you.
And remember, that's just, if you are leasing an apartment, it's just a landing place. It's not going to be your forever place.
Right. Yeah, we ended up in a place, flexible. Probably our last, which I think we'll like more now that we've researched it more, but we landed in a place that was our last choice.
Yep, wasn't on our radar.
We'd heard about it. It wasn't on our list of, hey, we'd like to live here. But it is, really the goal is, if you really want to move someplace, you just need to find a landing spot.
Just
initially. Get there. And so that's what happened with us. And so that's the list. We will drop another link in the description with the list. And so that way you could just pop it up if you want, have a quick at least a quick rundown of what you need to get. Now, the details of how to go about getting all of these things will be at the VFS Global website, which we'll also put a link below to. And it's important to know that there are 5 offices throughout the country. And so depending on where you live,
regionally.
So let's use San Francisco as an example. The San Francisco office takes care of 13 states.
It's a lot.
In the Western region. And so you have to go, wherever your home address is. You can't think, oh, I can get an appointment in DC a lot sooner than I can get an appointment in San Francisco. They will turn you away. Mm-hmm. So that's a really important first piece.
And planning, because you have to get plane tickets and all the things.
Yeah, you got to figure out your travel as well. And probably a really important thing that we learned is that you don't just log on to the VFS Global website and think, I'm going to take 2 minutes and get my appointment. At least for Portugal, that's not how this works. If any of you have ever thought, oh, I really want to go to this concert.
There you go. It's just like concert tickets.
And so I'm going to log on,
set up your computers
before the tickets go on sale. And I'm in the little queue and I see the little guy walking and I know I'm in line. And then tickets go on sale and nothing happens.
Sold out.
Or sold out, fast enough. Or something happened on the back end and you don't get your tickets.
So patience. And early in the morning.
Well, that did work for us.
Yeah.
But look, their website is not great. I mean, just know that out of the gate. A really good tip is to also clear everything. It is a glitch in their system that we found out through up some sort of Facebook group.
Yes.
And you knew before you even log on to and every time you log on to their site, clear your history,
it out.
Clear your cookies,
it's
clear your cache, and then you may get to the point where you can actually see what appointments are available. It's no joke right now trying to get an appointment, at least for Portugal.
Just be persistent.
Yeah, you've got to be persistent. It took us several days. I kept getting up earlier and earlier. I think at 4:30 in the morning one day, appointments finally appeared.
Oh, it was awesome.
And go ahead.
Just be patient. Just remember your why and why you're doing this. So that will propel you to stay focused. You'll get an appointment. Just trust it. You'll get an appointment.
And they only release them every so often. And so, if you don't see an appointment, just make it a habit. Get in every couple of days and see. I don't know what. There's a lot where there's no rhyme or reason throughout this visa process. So that's probably the first thing. Just know that going in and through every step, you just do what they tell you to do.
You just stay
even
with
though it makes no sense to you. Just do what they tell you to do. The 2 big changes. So when we were in the middle of the process, we thought we had all our bases covered, all our documents taken care of. The first big one is that your FBI check can now no longer be more than 90 days old, which creates a problem because you can get your fingerprints back within 24, 48 hours.
Easy.
You have to send your fingerprints to the State Department in DC. And let's be honest, every part of the American government right now is a hot, chaotic mess. That has put a weird kink in the process. And there are a couple of agencies that we'll give more information on later because I wasn't impressed with the one that we used because we already had our FBI reports. The old rule was 6 months. We had already gotten them apostilled. That's what the State Department does. Then suddenly we learned that it's now 90 days. That puts a huge wrench in people's process and timeline, and it's tough to get. I mean, you're going to have to spend some money at this point to have a third party make sure you get that apostilled FBI report.
Expedited.
Yeah, before you have your appointment. It's just the way that it has to work right now if you want to go through this process.
Especially if you have an appointment already in line.
Yeah. Right. And so that's a really important piece. The second important piece that actually took effect 2 days after, at least for some offices, 2 days after we had our appointment in late July was you now have to leave your passport at your appointment. That was an option up to the end of July. And now effective August 15th, all 5 offices are making you leave your passport with your application. It's not an option. People are being told if you don't want to leave your passport, then you can't do an application, period, end of story. So that's a big deal. And we didn't leave ours for a couple of reasons. Because one, what if we left the country? What if we just wanted to head up to Canada or, wherever? And two, again, because things are a little chaotic right now. And it's sad that we have to think about the fact that we don't, at least in our case, being a same-sex married couple, we don't necessarily trust what's happening on the back end of our government. And so we really wanted to hang on to our passports.
Make sure we got.
We were allowed to keep our passports. In fact, Carrie at the last minute said, hey, what if we left our passports? And said, we asked the woman that was taking our application, and without hesitation, she said, absolutely not. Do not leave your passports.
She was, yes.
She was very firm with, don't leave your passports. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how long this is going to take.
Absolutely.
You don't know if you're going to have to leave the country. But now you don't have a choice. So that's a really important thing too. And you do have an option. I mean, there are very specific rules for being able to get a second passport, but you now do have an option if you are forced to leave your passport somewhere because you're getting a visa, you can get a second passport. Obviously, that's an expense, but at least you know, and you can plan ahead and get that in line before you have to give up your first passport. I think that's it.
Right? That is it.
Those are the important steps. We'll leave a brief list, just so you have a quick checklist of everything that you're going to need. We'll leave the link to the VFS Global website down in the description as well. We're still waiting. So it literally, just know also that there really is no tracking mechanism once you do your application. People are literally, there's no rhyme or reason. It could take 30 days. It could take 6 months.
It could.
That's no exaggeration. So just know you're going to have to be patient. Just try to trust the process. Yeah, sorry, it's 100 degrees here, so forgive our listening. All right, so questions or comments, we'll certainly take a look, and try to answer anything we can. Otherwise, onward.
Onward. And if you really liked today's video, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate each and every one of you.